Welcome to Mishna study, Masechet Sheviit, Perek Vav Mishnah Bet. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to talk about the laws of Syria. What are the laws of Sheviit in Syria itself? Now, if we remember, I'm going to flip a slide. Syria has the status of a kibush yachid. So David HaMelech, when he went to conquer Eretz Yisrael, he conquered Syria before he conquered Eretz Yisrael proper. So it has this quasi status. And the question is, how do we treat it? Now, technically, if you remember, there are three territories to Eretz Yisrael. There's Eretz Yisrael of the second Aliyah, right, where Ezra came, that has all Kiddushav Sheviit. There's the ones of Olem Mitzrayim, right, which was Yehoshua, right, and what David HaMelech conquered after that wouldn't fall into this category, right? So over here, how do we treat the laws, the land of Syria, being that it wasn't part of Olem Mitzrayim, right? Technically, it should be, right? And really, technically, it should be like the rest of Chutz La'aretz. And that's what we're going to discuss in our Mishnah, and we'll see that it's actually not such. So what's the law of Syria? Osim betalush beSuria aval lo b'mechubar. You're allowed to work with things that are uprooted, right? Plants that are uprooted in Syria, but not things that are attached to the ground. Dashin, v'zorin, v'dorchin, u'ma'amerin, right? You're allowed to thresh, you're allowed to winnow, you're allowed to dorchim, like literally step on the grapes to create wine. Ma'amerin, you're allowed to gather, gather those grains into bundles. Aval, right? Those are all allowed because those are not allowed because those are mehubar. Those are things that are done when things are attached. Those are things that are allowed because those are done when they're detached from the ground. Aval lo kotzrim v'lo botzrim v'lo moskin. Right, but you're not allowed to do things that are attached to the ground. You're not allowed to cut wheat. You're not allowed to harvest the grapes. You're not allowed to harvest the olives. Right, these are all three verbs of literally harvesting, but for different types of fruits or grains. Klal Amar Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva comes and says a rule. Kol sheyakayotze bo mutar ba'aretz osin oto beSuria. So according to Rambam, he seems to be explaining Tanakama, not being cholek. Other people have him explaining as a cholek. But over here, according to Rambam, it sounds like anything that's allowed in Eretz Yisrael, you are allowed to do it in Syria. Now, why are you not allowed to do these things in Syria? Right? Technically, it should only be asur in Eretz Yisrael. Like we said, and Rambam says over here, he brings down the Yerushalmi. And the reason is because we don't want people leaving Israel to go dwell in Syria. It's so close in proximity, and we don't want people leaving Israel. And that's what Yerushalmi says, so that people don't go to actually live there. And therefore, Hachamim made this gezerah, and they applied all the laws. Rambam actually understands all the laws of at least Olem Mitzrayim apply to Syria as well, because of Gezerat Hachamim, as we see in this Mishnah, and halacha is like Rabbi Akiva.